3, 2, 1. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm trying to find a place for my water bottle. Welcome to the Jason J. Daniel Show. I'm Jason J. Daniel. Hope you're having a great day. Wow, boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. And I want to be real. I could get in trouble for this one. This one could cause me all sorts of problems, but it's cool. You know what? I'm doing it for the people. Doing it for Charlie Kirk, doing it for the Republican Party. I'm a new Republican. I just registered last week in response to the Charlie Kirk shooting. So I'm a baby Republican. I'm a little wild. Maybe radical. Thanks for watching. So if you haven't heard the news, Jimmy Kimmel is back. Okay, so your favorite radical rage loon television program guy, talk show host, your favorite, he's back. Trump yesterday, or was it today? He probably says it every day, said Jimmy Kimmel has no talent. He's not funny. He has poor ratings. All of the above. Now, I don't know about the no talent, but he isn't funny and he has terrible ratings. But there's one thing that he's got that you don't, a TV spot, a time spot. He's back. We'll talk about that tonight. I live in Northern California, so we're going to talk about some local things that affect everybody. It's a nationwide story. The rage lunatic that shot up News 10 Sacramento, we're going to talk about that. And this is where I could get in trouble. This is an active litigation thing happening in Sacramento. Now, he's allegedly done these things. I'm just going to say, I'm going to put that out there, and I'll put this disclaimer. He is guilty until proven innocent. We believe in that on my show. But he is a rage lunatic. Clearly, he's a loon, and I can prove that by his X account. Now, if that's his account, no one has really been able to prove it, but we're going with it because there's no reason to think it's not his account, because a lot of the things on his account are very consistent with his actions. There are some really interesting news articles that came out about that. I'll give you more information. And I've been to the place he shot up. I've been there, not after the shooting, but I've been there a number of times. I've done live TV there. If you're not aware, I work in the entertainment field, behind the scenes, in front of the camera. I've done all sorts of things. I'm currently working as an actor in front of the camera, so I'm doing that. But I also was a hairdresser, and I owned a salon in Midtown Sacramento. So I know Sacramento very well. I'm a guy from Northern California, and I've been to News 10 a number of times, so I can give you some lowdown on how that shooting might have affected the building. I know the layout. I've been, again, in the studio in every aspect of it. I've been in the break room. I've been in the green room. I've been on set, of course. I've been in that lobby. I've been in the parking lot. All the things that are a part of this story, I can tell you some information on that. So it should be interesting. His attorney came out and said some things to News 10, which is interesting. I'll play that clip for you. I'll give you a little commentary. And there you go. So all things Jimmy Kimmel, ABC, the shooting clearly is related to Jimmy Kimmel's firing. We all know it is. The guy was doing it in protest. He was mad about it. He had a hit list in his car. That's what the feds are saying. The story is incredibly interesting. Okay, so before we go there, let me check my sound, and let me just, if you're joining me late, because I have to check my sound. Let me see here. I should have, let me just give you my, whoops, hold on here. Sorry, I'm my own producer. So let me give you some info. Watching the Jason J. Daniels Show. I'm live on X, live on YouTube, live on Rumble. Got some folks watching. Thanks for watching. Let me just do this here. Okay, cool. So we're live on Rumble. We are live on, I see you on Rumble. Thank you guys for watching. We're live on the YouTube machine. Oh, let me check my sound. Here we go. Okay, cool. All right, sounds good. So we'll get into it. So Jimmy Kimmel, everyone's aware of this story, but I'll do a little recap. And I'm podcasting a lot lately because every day it's something very interesting. It's breaking news. This is all related to Charlie Kirk, so I'm kind of still covering the Charlie Kirk situation, and this clearly is part of it. Both stories I'm going to talk about. But I think it's important. I have a lot of to talk about. I have a lot of Northern California viewers, a lot of Bay Area viewers, and nationwide viewers. And I think it's important to talk about this story because it affects California significantly. So Jimmy Kimmel, as you know, came out, and I won't play the clip, but you saw it. He came out right after the Charlie Kirk shooting, which was last week, and said something that people were highly offended by. There's no disputing that. I'll just talk about the facts. There's no disputing that people were really offended by that. No disputing it. There's no disputing that what Jimmy Kimmel said was false. 100%. He said that Charlie Kirk's assassin, murderer, little baby demon Tyler, was a MAGA guy, and that the MAGA team, the MAGA PR team, Trump's White House, they were actively trying to cover that up and reframe it to make it a left-wing guy. Now, I added a lot to it, but I paraphrased it. He said it a little more succinctly, but that was the message. Then there's two parts to it. Then he did a joke about Trump not being in grief. The point of the joke was Trump is too involved in himself. He's selfish. He didn't think that he didn't really he wasn't really grieving for Charlie Kirk. Okay, which is fine. That's actually a joke. They did a clip and he did a little funny thing with it. That is not. It wasn't a funny joke. Like literally, it wasn't comedy. It wasn't really funny. If you laughed at it, you're just an idiot. You're a demon. You want to laugh at the situation. It was just really inappropriate. I'm all for comedy. It's not even a question about that. I'm all for free speech. I'm an absolutist with that. But it had nothing to do with comedy. It wasn't the comedy bit. It was the false information bit. So because ABC has a lot of mandates federally to make sure that news is equally distributed, all political parties have access to it, and that they're not purposely saying something that's a lie. What Jimmy Kimmel said was a lie because everyone had already debunked the fact that it was a MAGA, which it wasn't. And it already in the news the night before and in that morning, yeah, actually earlier in that day, sorry, because it aired that night. That day, his own broadcast crew had announced that it was a trans activist, paramilitary influenced guy, trans love story. He was doing it for the trans people, I guess. And he had a lot of left-wing rhetoric on his social. The text messages were out. The feds were like, he said he did it because he was doing it for left-wing ideology, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we all know that's true. And in fact, because Jimmy Kimmel did that, it even solidified the truth more, in my opinion, because more people talked about it and it became more of an established fact. So there's no disputing that fact. So Jimmy Kimmel said something that was a lie or misinformation. So he was suspended. A lot of people called it a firing, and I may have even said it too because everybody was using that term, but it was a suspension. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So, hold on. Let me clear my throat here. I'm gonna stand by here. Okay, live TV. All right, or live streaming. Let's check our. I hate doing that, but let me just check my sound here. Okay, cool. We're back. Okay, so So he was suspended. He wasn't fired. And that meant, he could come back. And he came back. So today, the ABC announced he's back. And here's what's even worse. I could care less. But here's what's even worse. He's bringing Gavin Newsom back. He's coming back tomorrow night. The worst, I mean, if they wanted to agitate Trump voters or conservatives or Republicans, if they want to agitate them anymore, you couldn't agitate them anymore by putting Jimmy Kimmel and Gavin Newsom on the same stage to spew out the same hateful rhetoric. Now, we know why we're doing that. One, it's going to make everybody upset and excited, and they're going to watch it. Gavin Newsom is good for ratings right now, and Jimmy Kimmel's ratings will be higher because all of the left-wing, radicals are now going to watch his show, even though it's not funny because they're they're thinking it's hitting Trump hard, right? By watching Jimmy Kimmel. It's whatever. Jimmy Kimmel and Trump used to be friends. Trump did a show a bunch of times, like years ago. It is whatever. Jimmy Kimmel is part of the, maybe he's the leader now of the left wing Hollywood movement. Nobody should be surprised that Hollywood supported him and that everybody turned it into a victimization for them. You shouldn't be surprised by that. That's why I'm a Republican now, because the liberals decided to take an assassination of a very wonderful man, an innocent man, a father. They decided to take that and somehow flip it into them being the victims. Unbelievable stuff. Only in California, only in commie California, would a talk show host flip the script. A very rich guy, richer than Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk has passed away, or he was murdered. So Jimmy Kimmel is obviously living, doing better. There's no reason to pile on. He's much richer, all these things. He clearly decided that he is now going to be the leader of this movement, of the left-wing ideology movement. Jimmy Kimmel was fine. He could have started his own thing. He's got the money. He could have started a podcast. He was fine. All of Hollywood decided to support him because that's what they do. I am in the business. I don't have a problem. I honestly didn't have a problem with them supporting him. My problem was that them turning it into he's the victim. So this very rich man decided, his TV show was preempted, decided to turn the Charlie Kirk murder into something about him. Only in commie California could a guy like that become the victim when somebody else died. It's unbelievable. Somebody else was murdered. He is the victim. So it's fine. It's the way it works for Jimmy Kimmel and for his ilk. But look, a lot of people said Jimmy Kimmel's a nice guy, but he's just politically different. And a lot of people came out and said Jimmy Kimmel did things for me, a lot of comedians, stuff like that. But at this point, Jimmy Kimmel, I knew he was going to survive, but he has to own this. He's like the guy who insulted Charlie Kirk's memory, and some people are going to say got away with it. Some people are going to say we'll never recover. Now, let's just jump into some of the facts here. Let's get right into this. So, again, I'm my own producer. Where's my mouse? I left my mouse. It's fine. I can use my hand. Here we go. So let's go with what Sinclair. No, let's go with the announcement. So the announcement on Jimmy Kimmel, I'll share my screen. The announcement on Jimmy Kimmel was, here we go. We'll post it for you. Was pretty simple. It was a pretty simple announcement. Here we go. Jimmy Kimmel is back. Okay, cool. So here we go. Oh, presentation. Sorry. Okay, I got to hit the right button. Okay, so here we go. So here's the statement on Jimmy Kimmel from Walt Disney. The Walt Disney Company issued the following statement regarding Jimmy. Okay. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. Now, here's something you should think about. They said they pulled him because he was insensitive and that it was the tone and all these things. It was not the right moment for his joke. People were offended. So that's kind of consistent. They're rewriting it a little bit, but it wasn't they decided to do that. It's because he created a tense situation. They're not, putting it at his feet. Now, this statement was definitely massaged by Jimmy Kimmel and his attorney. Okay? Clearly, this was a statement that he approved. Okay? That's just the way it works. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and insensitive. No, it's because we knew it was a lie, but they're rewriting it, but it's okay. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached a decision to return the show on Tuesday. Okay, so now it's pretty simple. Jimmy Kimmel is back after, after the hiatus. He had a little break. He had a long weekend off. Extra long weekend. my thoughts on this. You're probably wondering, okay, well, what about the free speech argument? They were saying that it was, Disney is not saying he was pulled because of Trump. Disney is not saying he was pulled because the administration was upset or the FCC guy said some things that disturbed some people, which that's all true that he did. But it wasn't true that Trump had him pulled. Now, Sinclair and some of the other affiliates that own these stations, it is a fact that some of them are very friendly with Trump. So it could have been a phone call or two from I'm just speculating, from somebody high up in the White House putting pressure, and through that pressure, they decided we're gonna suspend this till we can figure this out. And so there's a school of thought that the Trump people did put pressure on the station owners. Okay. But that's neither here nor there, because Trump didn't have that power, the station owners did. So that being said, Jimmy Kimmel was reinstated by ABC, where they produced the show, but the show still has to be distributed through the local stations and the networks that they have a deal with. So if the stations decide to not play the show, then that's their prerogative. Have you ever, and this is how this works, have you ever been wanting to watch in the old days, I guess, because now you can stream everything, but there were days back in the day, in the old times, whatever, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, where if you wanted to watch a show, in some markets, it didn't air. And you were like, well, I have an ABC, right? I have CBS, but why am I not able to watch the show? Well, because every station has their own programming they can do. You've seen that, like local news, local cable access. They sell spots for infomercials, all those things. But then there's a certain percentage of agreement that these stations, if they're an ABC or a CBS affiliate, not outright owned by ABC, there's an agreement that these stations will carry a certain amount of programming or certain very popular shows. And then those stations sell ads in the local markets on those shows, right? And everybody makes money. So, of course, an affiliate's going to want to take a big show, right? Let's say Bachelor. That's a big show, right? So an affiliate wants to run the most popular show because they're getting 20 million viewers or whatever it is, 5 million. The numbers are so small versus what they used to be. But who wouldn't want that, right? And then they're going to sell ads on it. Okay, so keep that in mind. You got to follow the money. So I'm going to show you what Sinclair said. So ABC said Jimmy Kimmel's back. All right. Well, what did Sinclair? Now, remember, there was Next Star, I think, and Sinclair. Those were the two, I guess, major station affiliates, right? The major ones. And those are the ones that have multiple stations, like 80 stations, 60 stations. It's a lot of stations, a lot of markets. Imagine that, right? Each neighborhood has a station, could cover up to 1 million people, right? So that's a lot of potential viewers and advertising. So let's look at what Sinclair said. So after I saw the Jimmy Kimmel story broke, Sinclair posted this. Now this was 2 hours ago, but I saw this posted 16 minutes after the news broke that Jimmy Kimmel was going to come back, which is like an hour or so after. Sinclair, now I looked it up. They own like 62 stations. They said, ABC, beginning Tuesday, Sinclair will be preempting Jimmy Kimmel Live across our ABC affiliate stations and replacing it with news programming. Discussions with ABC are ongoing. Okay, listen to this. As we evaluate the show's potential return. Okay, so that being said, so Sinclair is saying we're out. We're still out of this. We're out of the Jimmy Kimmel business, but we're open-minded to it. We're open-minded to it. So if this was a free speech thing, which it's not. It's not. I want to, let's get into that. If this was a free speech thing, then why would this affiliate say we're in ongoing discussions? And why would ABC say we preempted him because, tempers were rising and blah, blah, blah. It was a sensitive time. They are specifically telling you this had nothing to do with free speech. has everything to do with how some people felt that have power in these news stations. ABC clearly had a lot of concerns about the ratings, concerns about the money, because let me just say this, and I don't know if I've said this before because I've talked about it a few times. There's no fucking way in hell, okay, that ABC would have pulled Jimmy Kimmel over that comment if he was making hot money for them. There's no way. Because that comment was not that bad. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad enough for them to lose millions. So Jimmy Kimmel was already losing money. Okay? So when this happens, there's big contracts. Everybody's looking for a way to get out of these things. Every contracts are made for the end. The reason why you sign a contract, let me just clarify this, is when it doesn't work out, right? You always have terms on a contract because you expect it to not work out. If everything worked out, you never have a contract, right? Everybody would be on the honor system, like in the old days. But now we know relationships fail, business deals fail, people are liars, people are crooks, people fraud each other. So agreements are made for the end of the agreement. What happens when this falls apart? So in that clause, they probably had a clause about, conduct. Look, we all know that these companies have conduct clauses. And I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel has a political clause where he can push the boundaries, all these things. And there was a time where it was making him money, making ABC money. It was. Or they would have canceled him earlier. But things have changed. The climate has changed. When Trump came in, a lot of things changed. I think a lot of people started to sour on a lot of the things that Jimmy Kimmel and these other guys were doing when they were being sore losers, or when it was pretty clear that COVID was a lie and there's all these lies, okay? And then they can't find 20 million votes between 2020 and 2024. A lot of questions. And then the Joe Biden experience where it turns out he was a zombie the entire time. So a lot of people are souring from this stuff. And you know what? They're fatigued by it. Clearly, advertisers are, okay? So Jimmy Kimmel's advertisers were probably complaining to ABC, this is not happening. This is not working. So there were probably already talks. That's why Jimmy Kimmel was like, I'm just going to push the envelope. Why not? Because he wanted probably this to happen. He knew this would happen. He probably got wind that Trump was angry and watching him and all these things. He's a smart, calculating guy. So he probably did this to try to force negotiation. ABC took him up on it, and ABC got stuck in a snare. They got snared in their own trap, because what they probably weren't thinking about is there are very powerful people in Hollywood that fund these movies that you'll never know who they are. You never know these producers. Producers are the money people. There are people that are very powerful in Hollywood that if they stop working for ABC, that's a problemo. So it was never a free speech issue for ABC, because if it was, they would have known this is a problem. It was a money issue. It was a financial issue. Why did they put him back on right after the funeral of Charlie Kirk or the memorial? Because it's politically safe to do that. And now everybody, we all knew it was on Monday. We all knew everybody was going to start going after each other. We were all kumbaya yesterday. But then once we took a breath and Erica Kirk said, forgive these people, that was the last thing. That's what we were going to do. And even Trump came out and said, I hate my enemies. I'm going to make them pay. Okay, so it's all being telegraphed. Now, you might be listening to this saying that I'm trying to over-explain for Trump and I'm trying to defend the MAGA movement. No, I'm just telling you how it works in the business. Now, I'm no expert, but I know enough to know what I'm talking about. So Jimmy Kimmel coming back. So probably what the conversation was is that Jimmy Kimmel, his lawyer came and probably said, we're going to sue you. We can prove that this and this, or we've got text messages, or we're going to make you settle. And I'm sure Jimmy had a lot of money left on his contract, because if they terminate a guy, he has to have a real serious clause in his contract to not get paid, even if he does bad shit. Case in point, Kevin Spacey and Netflix. Do you know this story? Okay, 7-8 years ago, I know we'll get back to Jimmy Kimmel, but you need to hear this segue. So we all know Kevin Spacey's career was completely canceled. He's not recovered. He's trying, but who knows if he'll ever get back to the status and money he was at. he's been completely devastated and humiliated because of a couple of things. One, Kevin Spacey had a lot of enemies because he was getting really, really rich and they had the biggest shows. He essentially invented streaming. Him and Netflix. It was he was one of the guys that had the idea we should just drop a whole season at once, binging. Kevin Spacey was one of the pioneers of binging. I can prove it through videos and things I've watched. But anyway, so him and Netflix had a huge deal. They were making a ton of money. So they were in on the House of Cards was one of the, I should have mentioned House of Cards. Still one of the most popular shows, top 5 shows ever invented. Fantastic, in America, I suppose, because there's other shows in other countries, but a fantastic show. Okay, so, and he's Oscar-winning actor. He's incredible. He's won all these awards. He's amazing. Okay, so Kevin Spacey gets in trouble. All these people start saying he did things to him. He goes through a court process, which takes 5 years. He's found not guilty, and he's also found, what would be the word? He's exonerated from all of the charges. Now, some people, I know there's conspiracy theories. I'm not going to go there. You can go there if you want, but just track with me. The facts are he was exonerated. He went to court in the UK, exonerated. United States, exonerated. Kevin Spacey admitted he had bad behavior. He was handsy. He did some things that were not appropriate at times. He was trying to have sex with as many men as he could in Hollywood because he was a closet homosexual, which is something that came out. And he's admitted to this. So he had a lot of people that were annoyed by him. And also, if you didn't have sex with Kevin Spacey, he kind of didn't give you opportunities. So he was doing a little bit of that. So I'm not saying he's a good guy. He's even admitted he's a bad guy. But as far as breaking the law and doing, the illegal activities and the conduct, a lot of the conduct he was accused of didn't happen, or it was consensual, or it was fabricated, all these things. Okay. So Netflix, go back to Netflix. Netflix had a big contract with Spacey, huge. They not only fired him the same day without any due process, but then humiliated him. And then the show that they had already, it was season 6 of House of Cards. I know this well because it was one of my favorite shows still to this day. I was so devastated by this entire thing. I was shocked by it. They not only canceled that season and suspended it for a while, but they put on he had filmed 3 or 4 episodes. They put it on the shelf. They'd done a lot of work, didn't pay him for it, and then tried to charge him back for money that they had paid him. It was crazy. It was wild. So they just so Kevin Spacey sued Netflix. I think it was they sued him for $20 million. It's crazy. Kevin Spacey sued Netflix. It took 4 or 5 years to work it out, but Kevin Spacey sued him back and won. Look that up. That was not widely reported. And Netflix had to pay him and do kind of a wash on his contract and release him from the obligations and all these things. And Netflix and him actually partnered up again. So Kevin Spacey is now part of Netflix. He has a little bit of ownership, and there's some things they're still doing. Now, it's not lucrative for him, but he was restored, but it was a little too late because he lost a lot. One of the first guys the first guy that accused him lost and had to pay Kevin back in legal fees. So bring it back to Kimmel. So Kevin Spacey in the media was totally ruined. Okay. And that was the left-wing media. Okay. Ruined. Now, Jimmy Kimmel, you could make a case for being ruined in the media, ruined on social media. Everybody now has an opinion of Jimmy Kimmel. That's a negative or positive, right? Whatever, but mostly negative. Okay. So Jimmy Kimmel did not violate a clause in his contract at all because I'm sure that he didn't do it. It wasn't that egregious. And I'm sure there wasn't a clause that said you can't make jokes about this. So I'm sure his lawyer said, look, I have no inside knowledge on this. I know some people in the business. I know people that work in Hollywood. I'm not trying to drop any names, but I know things. But I want you to know I don't know anything about this. I'm just speculating, but this is how this works. I'm sure they said, guess what we're going to do? We're going to sue the hell out of you, and we're going to make a thing of it for a long time, and you're going to end up paying Jimmy Kimmel, and you're going to lose in the long run, and there's going to be a boycott and blah, 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 blah. So we need to work this out. And that's what probably happened. Now, I'm assuming that ABC looked at the money. Plus, I'm sure there's some producers, some big money people that hate Trump that came into ABC and said, we're not doing Hulu. We're not doing, well, it's Disney too as well, Disney, ABC. We're not going to produce movies that you're going to stream. There could have been some big people moving the chips, right? And ABC responds to that. So ABC and Disney are separate from Sinclair, and their national broadcast is way different than their movie division and the streaming division, which are just all behemoths. They just make a ton of money. But look, they already lost to Trump on Gina. Think about this. Gina Carano sued. She said some things about COVID, and she's a Republican. She got fired from The Mandalorian, which is a very popular show. She was very popular on it. They said some really terrible things about her. Disney lost. They had to restore her. They have a deal again, and they're going to use her again. She got restored. She was made whole. Also, Trump sued ABC for the Stephanopoulos stuff. They lost big to Trump, $20 million. So Trump sues CBS and wins. So when Trump sends a text or talks to somebody and says, I'm going to sue them if they don't get this under control, he's been winning his lawsuits. So it would make a lot of sense that ABC knee-jerked, boom. But once they sat through it, knee-jerked, did some things, talked to attorneys, it was a huge deal. Everybody got involved. Did it turn into a free speech campaign, which was pretty smart for the liberals? It really was. They turned it into a free speech campaign. People started buying that lie because it wasn't a free speech problem. It was a money problem. Then ABC and everybody, they started pushing out then the ratings are bad. Then the influencers that are conservatives started posting his ratings. No one had ever worried about his ratings before because Jimmy Kimmel was going viral all the time because of the hateful stuff he was saying about Trump. So they didn't necessarily need to worry about the ratings because people were tuning in, and they were also able to sell streaming. Jimmy Kimmel streams. That's a big commodity. More people watch it on streaming than watch it on nationwide TV. I watch his clips on streaming. So do you. So I didn't really buy the argument that no one was watching his show. It's just nobody was sitting up and watching it on the, at the time slot on the networks. But they were probably watching it later and all these things, and watching his clips on YouTube and watching his clips on Hulu, which where his show streams. Also, all these video on demand companies like DirecTV and all their other affiliates, they were carrying the show, I'm sure, VOD, video on demand. So people were watching it. Like, for example, I watch Bill Maher a day or two or three later, sometimes a week later. I watch it when it streams. Now, it is an HBO show that you can watch when it's streaming, but there is the HBO channel where it airs, and people do watch it when it actually airs. So everybody has a different way of watching things. So it's not fair to say no one watched this show. Clearly, people were watching his show, but advertisement is different on streaming. It's different than it is. It's not as lucrative. You're worrying about subscriptions. And when it comes to network television, that's where the big money is, because that is an audience that is a very committed demographic. And so ads can be specifically targeted for them. If you don't know this, ads on streaming are very different than network TV ads. You normally don't see them in the same, you won't see a network ad on NBC at night and then see it on a streaming NBC on Peacock. It's just different. Sometimes they cross over, but in most cases, web ads are designed differently. I know, I'm an actor. I audition for commercials. I see the difference. Okay, so that's what I think happened with Jimmy Kimmel. I think they basically looked at it legally and said, this is not a battle we can win. Plus, his ratings will now go up. And here's the last thing I'll say. People are going to watch this. They're going to watch it to see what he's going to say, which is perfect television. That's how it works. It's perfect buzz. This played into Jimmy Kimmel's hands so successfully. And I'll bet this. I bet Jimmy Kimmel came back with friends. Look, he knows a lot of people in the business. Howard Stern, really good friend of his. Howard Stern knows a lot of people in the business. I'm sure they came back and said, if you open this deal up for us, we have more advertisers. We guarantee you're going to make more money. We're going to have all these people lined up that dislike Trump, that want to support Jimmy. They'll buy the ads they'll buy commercial slots. ABC, you're going to do well. We're going to be cool. Let's make a deal. And in the spirit of Trump, they negotiated, I'm sure, and they made a deal. And I think that's what happened. And look, it was never about free speech. It was never about Jimmy Kimmel being a victim. It was about ABC taking the opportunity to try to score points with conservatives, which they did. And then now they got to score points with lunatic liberals, which they're doing today. They're a TV station. That's what they do. They don't. Why are you trusting ABC? They don't love you. They don't care about you. They're not for anybody except George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Grant. They're just for dead presidents. That's all they're about. That's why they create Star Wars after Star Wars after Star Wars, and people complain that it's not a good product, but people still watch it because it sells. It prints money. So Jimmy Kimmel Live is now more of a commodity for ABC than it was before he got dropped. So they did him a massive favor, and that's why he's back. They're all going to make money now. And apparently, ABC doesn't care what you think. They don't. They never did. They weren't doing it for the people. They weren't doing it for Charlie. They might have been doing. Now I know what you're saying, or I know what you might be saying. You might be saying, hold on here. Sorry, hold on, my own producer. I'm trying to work on something here. All right. They might be saying, sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to get my graphics going here. So they might be saying, people might be saying, I lost my train of thought. I apologize. But what I'm trying to say is, people might be thinking ABC was really trying to make a stand against a conservative or for conservatism. You're fooling yourself. They're just making a stand for the money. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so there you go. Now, that's enough of that. Let's segue to the local story that's really interesting. Local story for us in Northern California. Let's talk about the Sacramento rage lunatic who shot up News 10 Sacramento. Now, okay, I teased this in the beginning of the show. I have some inside information on News 10 Sacramento and how that studio is set up. So I'm gonna help you out with kind of understanding what impact that shooting would have had on the people in it, where he actually shot, where he was at when he shot. I can show you because I'm going to show you a clip from the local news broadcast that gives you the outside of their studio. And I can give you an idea of the neighborhood, all these things. And we could talk about him being rearrested. Also, his attorney did an interview, which I thought was interesting. So I said earlier I might get in trouble for this because, this story kind of hits close to home to me. But I'm just going to preface this by saying he is innocent until proven guilty. These are alleged charges. I'm going to call him a rage lunatic for the left because of what he posted on his X account, which is not confirmed to be him, but most likely is. Cool? We're good? If they sue me, if his lawyer sues me, I want you to know I will sue you back. Just being cool because I'm exercising my free speech rights. And this is a real thing, so I have to preface this. I'm not accusing him of this, but I'm going to say he is a left-wing lunatic. You want to sue me over it? I'll sue you and do discovery. How's that? Okay? I'll ask you to do discovery, and I will get discovery. So don't sue me for my free speech rights. I know what I'm doing. I have a good lawyer, okay? Just saying, because as a podcast, you got to know what you're doing. Okay, so let's first talk about Al Hernandez Santana. Now, he goes by Al, but his name is Anibel. And forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm trying to be appropriate with the pronunciation. Anibel, I believe, but he goes by Al. And he lives in Sacramento, the city of Sacramento, I believe. And he's 64 years old, and he's a left-wing loon. He's a rage lunatic because of his social, and we know this. It is what it is. And he is alleged to have shot up News 10, and there's a lot of evidence. Okay, so let me share. Let's share the screen here. I'm going to show you his X account first to give you just kind of a proper perspective. So let's see here. Okay, here. Oh, let me take this off. Okay, so his banner's gone, which is weird. And you know what's interesting is his account is still up. It's really weird. So his account is still up. He lists himself as a health lawyer, a policy advisor and a veteran, Sacramento, California. He clearly lives, California. He lives in Sacramento. Hernandez Santana is his full name. Now, what's interesting about this, now, I think a day or so ago, he did have a background. Now it's gone weird. It's interesting that his account's still up, but when you're in the can, you really can't get access to your phone to pull this down. He may not even know that everybody's reading his tweets. His tweets are already circulating on social media. One of the tweets I thought was extremely interesting. Let's see if it's still up. And who knows? Maybe somebody logged in and they're scrubbing his account. This one is up. He's saying, this is blasphemy. Okay, this is before the shooting. Can't believe these Republicans sucking up to their own twisted show. Then he says something religious about Paul of Tarsus was the 13th disciple, white moronic man. Interesting, right? Now, he wrote this. Now, it's his face. There's no reason to believe that someone was impersonating him on the 19th. That seems unreasonable, but anything's possible. Okay. This one is really interesting to me. On the 18th. Where is a good heart attack when we need it the most? Please join in my thoughts and prayers for the physical demise of our fearful leader. Now, obviously, he has 250,000 views on this tweet because everybody's been going to his account, right? So, word to the wise, if you're going to start shooting up News 10, allegedly, you probably should kill all your left-wing rage tweets on X. Okay, so somebody posted this, blah, blah, blah. That's his news story. Let's go back here. Okay, so this one's also interesting too. Why am I showing you this? I'm trying to set this up to prove that this is reasonable to say he was completely influenced by left-wing ideology. And there were protests outside of all the ABC news stations. We know that there was protests, there were concerns. He was clearly out there with a gun. And according to the according to the court filing, they found a magazine that matched the gun. This is what the Fed said, allegedly. And they found a note that said, like, it was like a hit list. And you'll see it in if you watch the news story. News 10, the place he shot up, did a really great story on him. Because I think they're actually making a thing of the left-wing ideology. In fact, you'll see that later on. I don't think they're happy he shot at them. So I think they're like, we're not protecting this guy. Okay, so here we go. Pam Blondie, clearly he's making fun of her. Kash Patel, Bonjo, however you say his name. Time to put on your big boy pants and your big girl panties. Show us the Epstein files and give us the names. Quoting Patel. Okay, he quoted something Patel said and used it against him. Okay, in a podcast. Here, this is interesting. And if look, I'm trying to prove to you he's a left-wing loon. Okay, so if I'm just, this might be boring, but it's what's going on. Fill in the blanks. Robert Redford. Okay, fill in the blanks. Robert Redford, artist, actor, film director, philanthropist, American icon. Charlie Kirk. He calls him a provocateur, social media influencer, right-wing culture warrior, national organizer. Interesting. What's the delineation? They both died. Okay. So this one is interesting. This one got limited, and I think this is the Trump death threat. He actually had, where I was heading to is, let's see. Okay, here it is. There it is. Okay, this is it. This one was not limited before he shot up News 10, allegedly. Because I saw right after I found his account. I was like, really? Boom. Sacramento guy? I know Sacramento. I had a business there. I know Sacramento very well. He writes, I support the death penalty for Tyler Robinson. Okay. Very right wing. Absolutely. Wait a second. There's a catch. As soon as the Fed criminal code is amended to add the death penalty for a president who refuses to step down after blah, 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 blah. And okay. In fact, I don't even feel like reading it because it's bullshit. But here's some code words for you. Insurrection. That is a left-wing loon rage thing. There was no insurrection. That's a fantasy. Okay. And then he says democracy. And then he says certified election results. Okay, good. You got the point. Okay, he's not MAGA. Okay, and he's not. What's the word? He's not neutral. Okay, now if he had been a conservative, I'll be real with you, or if he had conservative tweets and shot up News 10, I would tell you there's clearly not a lot of evidence. He's a loon for the left-wing radical paramilitary movement. But that's not the case. I'm reading you what he wrote. Okay? So if you want to deny this is connected to the wave of violence that the left-wing rage monsters are doing in our country, then you are stretching, because that's pretty obvious. There's even more. Now, let's get to something that I think is extremely interesting. This is a news article. This is his. Let's see here. Let's go back here. This is his. Sorry, I'm getting hit with the ads. This is his lawyer. I had this queued up, but apparently it's going to make us watch the ads. We'll let that run through. But this is his lawyer, who it's coming up, who talks about him and in this news story. It's going to take a second. Let me see. Let me make sure the audio's up. There might not be any audio on this one. But what you're going to watch is his attorney actually speaking out and defending him, and also talking about the stuff that's on his Twitter account. Now, you may think it's not verified, but News 10 posted his account.
And we're continuing to follow updates tonight in a store cell before his second arrest Saturday at the same.
After one of our phone conversations,
he was arrested twice.
His case actually, and talking on the phone, had several conversations. And around 8:30, after one of our phone conversations, he stepped outside of his apartment, and the FBI was there, and they arrested him.
His charges stem from a Friday shooting into the lobby of ABC 10 studio.
Okay, so I've been here. This window is not directly connected to the lobby in the front. So if you're going to shoot in this window, I'm just going to tell you, you are familiar with the building, okay? Because I want you to know that if he really, and I'm not defending him, I'm just saying, I don't think he thought he would get caught. And I don't think he thought it was that big of a deal, because he shot in a window where there's like nobody at. There's like trophies there. Even though that window is up there, there isn't anybody actively hanging out there. And they even said there was only one person in the lobby when it happened and they were safe. Well, it was the security guard, most likely, because I know if there's a security guard, you got to walk in. I'll get into that a little later on. But if somebody was going to shoot at the lobby, it would be really hard to hit anybody, because there's bulletproof glass where the security guy is. He's safe. You can shoot into the lobby, I'm supposing, but there's couches. There's just a lot of distance between that area and getting through to actually getting to like maybe a civilian there. Now, it's a terrible thing. He should go to jail for a long time, whatever the charges are. But I'm just explaining to you that I think he knew exactly what window he was shooting at, because he hit this window and he's like, boom, boom, boom. He clearly knows how to shoot. Those are pretty close.
People were inside, but no one was injured. Sacramento police first arrested.
People were inside because the studios are way back. In fact, most news studios are like this, and News 10 is like this for sure. There's my bandana's coming off. I'm going to take it off. All of where they do the news is way back, and news. I don't know if you've ever been inside of a network news studio, but they are always worried about people breaching, always worried about people being upset at them. So those buildings are designed with a lot of security, and to get in there, there's a metal detector and everything. And then to get back to where the talent is, they're way in the back. I've been there. I've hung out with the talent. I've done pictures. I've hung out where they're doing the news. I've been there, but they're way in the back. So very insulated. So if somebody got in and wanted to, see them, because, there's many celebrities in these towns and people get weird, it would be really difficult to find where they're at. It's just, everybody is insulated that's working the news. There's a reason for that, because these things do happen.
Arrested Hernandez Santana hours after on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon, shooting into an occupied dwelling, and negligent discharge of a firearm.
Okay, so they saw his license and they probably caught it on a camera phones everywhere. He was driving his own car, and I think that's how they got him.
Police have not released a motive for the shooting.
Okay, but later on, there's a news story where the DA actually said it's left-wing ideology. So they did release that today.
Hernandez Santana posted bail on Saturday, hours before the FBI arrest on suspicion of violating a federal statute that relates to interfering with federally licensed stations.
Right now, I don't have anything to go on to say whether they've got the right person or not.
Okay, this is his attorney. Innocent until proven guilty for sure, but there's no but to that. Let me reframe that because we want to be fair. Innocent until proven guilty. I will say this: the federal charges are interesting because he's being charged with shooting at a federally licensed media station. So that's a thing. He's not being charged with violence against any people federally or death threats, but I'm sure that's probably something they're going to try to pin on him if necessary because, it's left-wing violence. It's pretty clear according to his tweets, but that's a whole nother story because you have to prove that he wrote those. That takes discovery, and you can't just say what's on your webpage or it's on your X webpage. Sounds very old. Boomer. Okay, boomer. No, they can't just say, well, we saw it on X, so you're being, held accountable. They actually have to do discovery and prove that he actually wrote it and not somebody else. So stuff like that. So I think they're going with the low-hanging fruit.
Hernandez Santana's attorney says he is a recently retired lobbyist and Army veteran. Neighbors know him as Al, describing him Saturday as quiet and reserved. Facebook and X accounts matching the suspect's name and pictures posted frequently, often criticizing the Trump administration.
Okay, let me tell you something about being in public health. So in California, especially, I know the business, especially in Sacramento, where it's the mecca of liberal politics. It's the capital. Gavin Newsom lives here, right? To be in healthcare, as most people are very left-wing ideology, very radical left-wing, like kind of freaky, concerning. Okay. So healthcare is kind of okay, that matches. It says he's a former federal relations manager at National Council of Urban Indian Health, Washington, D.C. Former public health analyst at California Rural Indian Health Board, Sacramento. And city planning, UC Berkeley. So rural Indian health, those funds and that healthcare is very political, managed by a lot of different entities, county, state, federal. It's a position. So when you're in that kind of healthcare, you have access to a lot of federal funding, people in the federal government. So this guy very entrenched in knowing the insides and outs of political business, at least when it comes to the state capitol. This guy, so where I'm going with this is he's a politician. He's a political guy. He's a political animal. He's seen it all. He knows people, which is interesting to me. He's not just some, he's 64, retired, a veteran. His credentials are not just some lunatic that listened to Jimmy Kimmel too much and got a gun. That's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a guy that knew exactly what he was doing. He's a smart guy. He's not a dumb guy. But somehow his IQ got dumbed down enough to where he talked himself into being essentially a sleeper, a radical who pulls out a gun and shoots at an occupied building. That's a problem. Now, he could have killed somebody. I'm not trying to ease up on him. I think they should throw the book at him. But I'm just trying to give you the facts here. Okay.
In the past week, posts were daily.
Okay, you recognize this account? I just showed it to you. So News 10 is posting it in Sacramento. The media is posting this account. So I posted it. So they can't sue me.
One post from the same account Wednesday read, quote, "I started carrying a gun when Trump was elected president the first time. Still do."
I haven't seen him. And
now I didn't go down far enough. I didn't see that tweet. That's interesting.
I understand. I mean, I think it's not a completely uncommon. I mean, I'm on social media a lot and reading comments, and from both sides, really, there are some comments that are, I wouldn't say extreme, but
Can I stop you and say the both sides thing is a hoax? It's not on both sides, but that's the rhetoric. That's the hoax. So now listen to what else he goes on to say. Look at him thinking about, where do I blame Trump? Boom. See him thinking? He rolls his eyes. He's like, so he did the both sides hoax. He threw that you're going to start hearing that all the time. That's a hoax. It's not both sides murdering people. Not true. It's not both sides shooting up News 10, baby. So they'll even tell you something that's a lie right to your face. Hey, he's good. I got to hand it to him. Now watch where he goes.
That show a lot of passion. You know, I understand the concern.
Wait. Passion. So his attorney is saying getting a gun, going to a news studio where innocent people are at and shooting, pow, 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 3 shots. Then he also shot at the back door in the parking lot where there are actually people. That's a problem. We didn't get to that. I'll get to that in a second. 4 shots. So the guy he started one spot and moved to, he kept shooting. He was probably standing outside. Okay. I don't think he was in his car. They called it a drive-by. Maybe he was in or out, whatever. But to get to the back, I'll give you I'll show you. But it's not passion. That is disgusting. Look, no offense, Mr. Lawyer, but my rebuttal to you is that's absolutely disgusting to say shooting at a building where people are working that have nothing to do with politics is passion. That's aggression. That is rage. That is being a lunatic.
You know, people would have, but they're not uncommon.
For people who do see your client's posts on social media and would consider them radical, what would be your response to them?
Well, look, if his social media points are considered radical by you, I guess it depends on your perspective.
Wait. So he's like, I wish Trump had a heart attack. Okay. What perspective? He shoots at News 10, says he got a gun because of Trump. How am I misunderstanding? Then he goes on to say, he wishes the death penalty could be given to Trump for words. Trump resisted the election results. Trump said it was a fake election. Words Trump said, this guy said he should be killed for free. Essentially, Trump's free speech. He's wanting the death penalty for Trump. How do you misunderstand that?
So, I mean, there's a lot of this stuff that's said by the president. I mean, and you have to consider that radical also.
With the FBI.
I told you he was going to get there. A lot of this stuff said by the president, death threats. No, man. Okay, now, here we go. More info.
Now involved, Reichel believes politics are at play.
I think the president and the Trump Justice Department.
Really?
And Pam Bondi aren't.
It's Pam Bondi's fault. This is what they do, man. They go right to, it's not violence, it's passion. His trans lovers, they're passionate. It's such a tender relationship. And then he assassinates a really amazing innocent man, but it's tender. And but see, Al, he's just passionate. He wants Trump to die because he resisted the election results and had a question. He should get the death penalty. That's passion. And it's, by the way, it's all Pam Bondi's fault.
Going to let this one go by. Of course, they're going to grab it and try to bring it into federal court as soon as they can, because they've got somebody who's an educated liberal who.
Wait a second. Okay. His own lawyer just called him an educated liberal. That's what I said he was. Okay. If I say it, you could accuse me of being a over-the-top Republican, conservative, blah, blah, blah. I'm radical for calling him an educated liberal. His attorney does it, and he's passionate. It's that's normal. That's not normal to shoot up News 10, man.
They believe shot at the buildings.
Hernandez Santana is set to appear in federal court on Monday at 2. His attorney.
So let me tell you that
tells me he will be.
You got to walk up to get those shots. You can't get them from the street.
Trying to get his client released on bail again. Gretch Ball.
Okay.
That hits close
let me
to
go
home.
back. This is
and we're continuing to follow updates. And we're continuing to follow updates tonight in a story that hits close to home. The man accused of shooting at.
Okay, fine. There's another. We'll go to another one. There's actually another. Do I have the other article? Or the other? There's another. Here we go. Okay, so there's another. Okay, that was yesterday or this morning. Thanks for watching, guys. By the way, my name is Jason J. Daniel, and we're talking about the Sacramento rage lunatic who shot up News 10 Sacramento. News 10 Sacramento is downtown. It's the affiliate that is broadcast the Jimmy Kimmel Show. So Jimmy Kimmel was not mentioned in that article, but it happened during the Jimmy Kimmel protest, or there were some protesters out there, and he drove up and allegedly shot at the building. But I live in Northern California. I used to do TV at that building. I know that building really well, so I was trying to give a little insight on that. But if you're just watching, would really love to have you subscribe. Thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. On Rumble, thousands of views last night on Rumble. Thank you guys. Just crazy. Like all my videos, I simulcast it, Rumble, YouTube, and on X. Really great numbers. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on X, please give me a follow and a like and a retweet. Really appreciate that. Okay. So there's the commercial, and then let me take this off. Now I'm going to show you one last thing. What time is it? What time do we got? Oh, over my time. I was only going to do an hour. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I'm right an hour. Let me show you this video. I'm on a roll. This video is interesting. Okay. So he was arrested, let out on bail. I don't even know the name of the judge. We'll figure it out. There's like a weekend judge that let him out. He paid the bail. Interesting. And then like 8 hours later or something, the feds drive up and arrest him for shooting at the building. Now, he was not arrested for death threats like the lawyer was trying to imply. He wasn't arrested by the Trump DOJ as a retaliation. He was arrested by Sacramento FBI for shooting at a federal, not a federal building, but a building that has a federal license, a communication license. That's essentially the charge. So that's what he was arrested for. So he was arraigned in Sacramento court at downtown. Boom, they let him out. Then he got arraigned this morning in federal court. So he paid. What a waste of bail, right? Posted bail, darn it. And then boom, he's back in the can. So this little joyride with the gun is costing him dearly. It's going to be tough for him to recover from this, allegedly. Okay, here we go. So now I'm going to show you my last clip, and then we'll wrap up tonight. Thanks for watching, guys. Where's it? Okay, so this one is interesting. This one is the News 10 this morning. Look how concerned he looks. What's she going to say? He's actually a great cat. I don't know him personally, but I know of him. And I actually know a number of people in local Sacramento media over the last 15 years. I know people who worked at News 10. A lot of people have worked there. A lot of people have moved on. I've stayed in touch with them on social media. Again, I did live TV and had really good relationships. In fact, I did a lot of the hair because I was a hairdresser. If you're just tuning in, I was a hairdresser. Well, I guess once a hairdresser, always a hairdresser. I'm retired from hair now. But at the time, I was doing a lot of hair stuff, and I was doing live TV, and I was doing hair for some of the News 10 anchors. They'd come into my salon, and so I knew a lot of them that way. So I was just in that community. So let's listen to a little bit of this.
Following closely these past few days, the man accused of firing 3 shots into our ABC 10 building made his first court appearance today. He's facing federal and state charges.
Now, let me amend that. Later on, they say 4 shots. So I think she got that a little misunderstood, but I could be wrong.
For this shooting.
Yeah, we have live team coverage. ABC 10's Garsh Paul Sung is outside.
I was in there today as a suspect. He allegedly shot at our own studios. Now, cameras are not allowed inside the courtroom, but I was in there today as a suspect faced a federal judge. 64-year-old Anibal Hernandez Santana was wearing an orange
looks like the picture on the X account, doesn't he?
Jumpsuit, and he was restrained with shackles. He's now facing 3 federal charges, including possession and discharge of a fire.
I don't know if that looks like the attorney. Didn't he have a beard? Maybe it's a different attorney. I don't know.
Firearm within a school zone and interference with the radio communication station. At one point, Hernandez Santana smiling at his attorney and turning his head once toward those behind him attending the hearing. He remained mostly motionless during the brief hearing. Investigators say 3 days ago, Hernandez Santana...
Okay. Do you notice something? The fence. Now, that fence is a lot higher. Again, I've been in this building a number of times. I want to show you this. That fence is a lot higher than it looks. And the building, I think the window he shot into was the one closest to the sign. Okay. Notice this tree here, very big. From this angle, it covers both these windows. So he wasn't drive-by shooting. He knew this was the window to shoot in. And I think he also knew there wouldn't be anybody at that spot so he could make his political message and then jet. But there are cameras out there, and I'm sure that's how they got him.
Santana began shooting at and around the ABC-10 studio.
Okay, so there's the shots. Okay, it looks like it was only 3 on this one. There you go.
First, near the back of the station's parking lot, and
okay, first at the back of the station's parking lot. That's very interesting. They'll
then
show you
minutes
that
later into the front lobby.
Okay, so this is the side of the front lobby. You got to walk around that corner to get in the front lobby. So again, he shot, in my opinion, in an area where he knew people may not be. I think he was purposely trying not to hurt anybody, or at least trying to minimize that.
Our coworkers were inside, but no one was injured.
Yeah, because they're all in the back.
The Sacramento Police Department and the FBI are working together on the investigation. None has released a motive.
Okay, so here you go. See that person standing there? See how high that fence is? That is, I don't know, what is that person, 5'9", 5'8"? So that fence is high, right? There's a pretty significant distance between that fence and the wall. You see where I was talking about the tree covers those up, right? So you see where this cat's standing right here? That's most likely where this sucker was standing. He probably had his car here and he was out. This is usually full of cars, and it's a very older neighborhood, and it's a bad neighborhood. I'm just going to tell you. It is one of the, you don't walk down this street, you don't walk down it at night. It's a bad neighborhood. It's in one of the worst parts of Sacramento.
But the Sacramento County DA told me today he believes it was political.
He believes it was political. That's the DA.
Federal prosecutors unsealed their 9-page complaint Monday, revealing what they say police found after Hernandez Santana's arrest. According to the complaint, investigators found an empty magazine and a handgun inside his apartment that matched the caliber of the bullet recovered from the scene. The investigators found an empty magazine Monday, revealing what they say police found after her.
Why are they showing their asses in that guy's stomach? What is this? Who's like, I got a great shot. Can you get the gun but the flat ass, and then you get that guy's belly? That I know that's mean, but there you go. That ass is not bad though. Okay. We got some ass, and we got no ass, and we got belly. So interesting. All right.
Hernandez Santana's arrest.
Sit out to me.
According to the complaint, investigators found an empty magazine and a handgun inside his apartment that matched the caliber of the bullet recovered from the scene.
Oh, snap. Okay, cool. Now, here we go. This is what I wanted to show you. So this is the back of News 10. This is the parking lot they were referring to earlier. Look how, first of all, that's the edge. These trees are there purposely. They plant those trees to provide coverage because notoriously media buildings are kind of targets for loons. It's just the way it works. Okay. So this is gated. You don't see it, but it is. You don't get in here without knowing the access. You just don't get in without, you just don't drive back there. You have to have been here. You got to know somebody to know you can go back here. See how deep that goes? This is where all the news people are, way back here. Lobby's up here, news people way. This goes way back. See that? I don't know if you can see my mouse. Maybe you can. Way back. So in order for him to come in here, you can see that tree back there is where the fence ends pretty much. Back behind that tree, that's where people go in, deliveries, if they're moving production stuff in. We've gone through there to set up bands. We've had live bands in there. It's kind of the loading dock. So he went back here, took a shot. So it's possible he walked back here. Fence was kind of open. I don't think he would have got his car back there in and out, right? So he probably parked here, parked over here, walked in, took a shot, took his shots, jumped in his car, and thought we're cool.
The complaint went on to say that detectives also found attached to his refrigerator a whiteboard planner with a handwritten note under the day Friday reading, quote, "Do the next scary thing."
Do you like how that? Don't write. If you're gonna do that, don't write. Scary. We're doing a scary thing, and then do it. Don't do that. At least don't do it and put it in your fridge.
Also mentioned in the complaint, investigators say they found a handwritten note in his car reading, quote, "For hiding Epstein and ignoring the red flags. Do not support Patel, Bongino, and AG Pam Bondi. Their next -CK from above."
Look what! You know what? Look at that. I just saw something. Okay, cool. This is interesting. Now, when I watched this ahead of time, I didn't look down, but now I just caught it. This confirms what I said. They were reporting it was a drive-by earlier, but it says here approximately 2 minutes before firing 3 rounds, he fired a single round while standing, blah, 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 on the street, which is adjacent to the real Okay, so I was totally right. He started. Now, I know you're thinking I pre-read that. No, I didn't. He started in the parking lot, took a shot. That wasn't good enough for him. And then 2 minutes later, he walked over. So he might have been wanting to see if anybody came out, might have wanted to, maybe reload, maybe thought it through, but then so you have to do that on foot to get those shots. Okay. It's just interesting, right? I was right.
They're next -CK from above.
Okay. So, and this right here, this is standing outside of where the parking lot is, right? Now, remember the park ranger truck? So they were taking a picture over here. Look at how far down this high fence goes. Way down there to the edge of the street. It's a big building. Why is there a high fence? Well, down here, it's really dangerous. It's bad, super bad, high crime, really terrible. So they have a fence there so people aren't getting their cars broken into. Because News 10, it used to happen a lot all the time. Okay, Broadway. Broadway is one of the worst streets in Sacramento. Okay, so I'm done. All right, so there's the article. There's the info. Guys, thanks for watching. This has been fun. I'm going to wrap. I know Monday Night Football is probably wrapping up right now, but I wanted to jump on because Jimmy Kimmel got reinstated. That's huge news. And as I was researching Al Hernandez Santana, as I was researching this incident, it became very clear to me that it's important to talk about, and I have a little insight being local in Northern California and knowing that building really well, which was so crazy. But it is definitely connected to the Jimmy Kimmel thing, connected to Charlie Kirk, connected to left-wing rage violence. So, my question to you is, did Rage Loon, Al Hernandez Santana shooting work? I'll leave that with you. Did that shooting, because it made national news, and they were connecting it to Jimmy Kimmel, do you think that had something to do with the fact that ABC is like, we don't want anybody getting really killed? Because what's the next step, right? The next step is murder. This guy came out and shot up a place where he knew people were in broad daylight because he was mad. He was protesting with a gun. And that's what liberals like to call it. The rage loons like to say, we're going to protest, which means we can do anything. We can jump on your cars. We can set a Starbucks on fire. We can throw a trash can through your business. We can steal your car. We can punch you in the face. We can hit you with the brick. We can shoot your TV station while you're in it. It's a fine line. Did it work? I hope not. But there you go. All right. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Again, my name is Jason J. Daniel. Thanks for watching the Jason J. Daniel Show. Really fun. I've got a really killer interview coming up. So good. I've got a great interview coming up on Friday. Somebody who I really, really am impressed by, and she's amazing. So you're going to love it. And you're going to really dig it. Please subscribe. Follow me on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, or X to support me. I appreciate you guys for supporting me. Thank you for watching on Rumble. My Rumble views have been really big. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. And on YouTube, thanks for watching on YouTube. You guys are amazing. I am almost at I almost hit 1 million. Look at that. Wishful. Look, I'm thinking big. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you guys could subscribe, that would be awesome. Get me there. I'm like 20. I'm sorry, crazy. I'm like 76 away from that. Also doing really well on X. Appreciate that. Please subscribe, retweet, and like my post. And on Rumble, I'm growing my subscribers, so please help me with that. I'm close to monetization. So if you can subscribe on Rumble, I really appreciate that. Also, send me your comments. Put them in the I don't get DMs because my DMs get crashed. Also, I have a TikTok that is so I'm Jason J. Daniel everywhere. Thank you. And I also have a TikTok at Real Jason J. Daniel where we talk sports. So I think I'm going to go live on TikTok tonight after the game, which might be in an hour or so. We're going to talk a little Monday Night Football. I love sports. If you haven't noticed that, I do a lot of sports and politics and mysteries and true crime and things that interest me. But I'm also on Facebook, Jason J. Daniel Show. It's like 1,500 followers. Follow that. Snap, IG, Rumble. IG I'm not so active on, but Rumble, YouTube, and X, you know where to find me. God bless you, And thanks for watching. And go with God. Please stay safe. Go with God. Via con Dios. Thank you for watching.